Hey guys, this is Nathan from Team Locked Bastion here, ready to do another deck profile on Zodiac of the Legend variant. These are my flags. Thank you to Jake for doing my custom flags. They're awesome as always. If anybody's looking for custom flags, hit him up. He is the best. Yeah, we are going to start with my buddy for the deck, which is Space-Time Distortion Dragon Zodiac IF, commonly known as IF. I'm only running him as a 3 of because the deck draws really well. I've got ways to search him out and even ways to call him from the drop zone. He is a size 3, 7,000 power, 2 critical, 5,000 defense. You'll find every variant of Zodiac has these stats. Yeah, so his call cost is pay 2 gauge, and then you can put a soul from drop zone into his soul. If he's Legend World, or if you have a Legend World flag rather, then he gains Penetrate, and if you have Star Dragon World flag, he gets Move. What makes him really good as opposed to some of the other Zodiacs and why I prefer him as the buddy, he has a better version of Gravity Rest because it comes at a counter speed. It is Act Gravity Rest. Choose a monster or item, which is a massive improvement, on your opponent's field. Then you may discard a card, pay 1 gauge and 1 life, and if you do, rest the card. It's counter speed, you can do it multiple times per turn, and it helps with a ton of the matchups. And he's also got Soul Guard, of course. So, yeah, that is the buddy for this deck. We run a couple more forms of Zodiac. Next up is Star Deity Dragon Zodiac, another 3 of for the deck. He's another 7/2/5. Size 3. The call cost is the same as Zodiac If. Pay 2 gauge, give him a soul from drop zone. Again, he gains Penetrate if it's Legend World and Move if it's Star Dragon. However, he's got a couple of extra effects. If it's Legend, he also gives every star on the field, including himself, 3,000 power. And if it's Star Dragon World, he gains an extra critical. And then he goes back to the normal form of Gravity Rest, which is when a monster enters your opponent's field, you may pay 1 gauge and discard 1 card. If you do, rest that card. And he also has Soul Guard. He's really good for breaking down walls, the extra 3k power for your entire field turns, certain cards that wouldn't be able to do much, and do almost wall breakers, which is really neat. So yeah, running him as a 3 of. Next up is a 1 of. That is Star Deity Combination Dragon Zodiac ES, also known as S. It's I only run it as a 1 of, but don't let that fool you. He's one of the better cards in the deck. I'm confident in my ability to search and call. Pay 2 gauge, give him a card from drop zone into his soul. He's got the effect that when he attacks, you can choose a size 2 or less monster on your opponent's field, and that card cannot stand the next turn. It's absolutely ridiculous. If you're facing up against bats or any other, mostly Dragon World, to be honest, that uses a size 2 and less field to rush you. Dungeon World as well. It's just really nice because it makes it so their field can't stand, and it gets around fanning really well because you're not resting, you're just keeping them stunned. He also has the basic Gravity Rest, of course. When a monster enters your opponent's field, discard, pay a gauge, and rest it. Then he also has Move on his base form and Soul Guard. You're not really going to use the Move too often, honestly. This is a close center deck. And same stats as every other Zodiac again. He's a size 3, 7,000 power, 2 criticals, 5k defense. And the last official Zodiac of the deck is High Eliminator Zodiac. Another size 3, 7,000 power, 2 criticals, 5,000 defense. Pay 2 gauge, and you give him a soul from hand, which is kind of irritating. But the reason I run this is because against certain matchups, it's really nice to call him on your first turn, if you're going first, of course, because you can go ahead and kill 2 gauge of your opponent. If your flag is Legend World, you remove 2 gauge from your opponent's field, I guess. And if you're Star Dragon, you burn them for 2. Honestly, the gauge killing, it just slows down a bunch of decks and helps do what Zodiac does best, which is set the pace. He's got Soul Guard and then again basic Gravity Rest. Next up is another 3 of. I run Meteor Arms Drag Solar to 3 of. He is a size 2, 5,000 power, 2 criticals, 2,000 defense. When this card enters the field, call 1 size 3 Neo Dragon or Star from your drop zone by paying its call cost. Basically, what you're going to do is if you have a Zodiac in drop zone that just got killed last turn and you have the gauge, you want to call this guy and then just immediately recall Zodiac. Because when this is also in Soul, it gives them the effect that on swing, and it's not once per turn, so it works with double attack when you have a different Meteor Arms in there, you can discard a card from hand and draw a card. And that helps set off a ton of combos with like Alwidal and Chaos Joker, but we'll get to that. And Ares as well. So yeah, really good stuff. He's he's just really fun for resurrecting Zodiac when your opponent wasted a lot of resources to beat him down the turn before. Next, and I'm noticing it myself now, I'm running a bunch of 3-ofs, is actually Leo Star Sentinel Leon. He is a 4,000 power, 1 critical, 1,000 defense, size 1. If you have a monster, if your buddy monster is a star, you can reduce his size by 1, so it becomes a 0, which is outstanding. He has a counter ability that if you have another star on field, you can kill him at counter speed and gain 2 gauge, which is really, really good. And with star deity, he becomes a 7,000 power beat stick, which is, it's really nice because it helps against walls, and even with like prisms with their redirects and stuff like that, you can go after their sides really easily, or if you have to link attack, you can at least hit a Thora, which is nice. Also, I like using him to, during my opponent's draw phase, kill him and gain a couple gauge. It just helps set up. Time for a 4-of finally, who's really just the bread and butter of the deck. Meteor Arms Nebulosa, MVP, a #1 Duke of New York. He's a size 0, 3,000 power, 1 critical, 1,000 defense. He has a call cost of 1 gauge, but you're never really going to use that. You should be grabbing him from drop zone when at all possible. I tend to gauge him. If he's in the soul of a Zodiac, that Zodiac, he gets double attack. He's also got Cross Knives, but again, you should be using Zodiac's effect to call him from drop zone, or rather to put him in his soul. Because double attack Zodiac is just, it's outstanding. Next up, as a 4-of, is a staple that every Legend World player with their salt is aware of, which is Valkyrie All-Knowing Alwidal. Alwidal is phenomenal. It's an Asgard type, but it doesn't matter. It transcends every archetype in the world. It's a size 0, 3,000 power, 1 critical, 1,000 defense. Your great spells can't be nulled. It doesn't matter. When it's discarded, you gain a gauge and draw a card. It basically makes all of your gravity rests. I wouldn't say you break even because it's more than that, because it's hand fixing, and it's even like, if you know what's in your gauge, you need to get something in drop zone like a Zodiac or a Meteor Arms. It helps set up for a ton of really nice combo plays. And Alwidal it's just a great card. Any deck that can run it should run it. Coming up next at another 4-of is Chaos Blade Joker. Chaos Blade Joker is another really interesting card. When I first got back into the game and saw this card, I was kind of hesitant, but then I actually read it. It's a size 0, 5,000 power, 2 criticals, 2,000 defense. It is a 3 gauge call cost, but you should ignore that, because when it's discarded, you can pay a life and call it from the drop zone. On entry, even if you pay the gauge cost on entry, you can choose any card on your field, and for this turn, that card gains an additional critical. So when this is discarded during battle from like Drag Solar's effect, or anything like that, or even like a gravity rest, since you can do counter speed gravity rests now, it just gives Zodiac extra criticals. It's more pressure. It's a really, really awesome game finisher. Extra attacks. It just sets up a ton of really nice plays. Chaos Blade, ladies and gentlemen. Next up is a 2-of. I really like it for the current meta. It is Ares, Star Sentinel Ares. When this card is discarded, he is a size 0, 2,000 power, 1 critical, 1,000 defense. Doesn't really matter unless you could turn him into a 5k beat stick, but you shouldn't. On discard, you can pay a gauge and destroy an item or a spell on your opponent's field. And in the current meta, that is just, it's so good. a lot of decks require their items on field, and if the items can be destroyed, you always should destroy them. It helps against Jaeger matchups, it helps against Prism matchups. Doesn't do much in the bots matchup, unfortunately, but if you're going against new legend heroes, you can pop set spells, you can pop items that are poppable. It messes up a lot of decks, even Hero World, which is neat, because going up against super heroines, you can kill their overlords, their masked advantages, whatever you need to. And it's just really nice, because if you're going to discard for Gravity Rest anyway, or through the effect of the item that we're going to go over in a minute, you may as well plus off of it. Alright, we are finally into the spells. And yeah, my first four of is Illusion of the Void Deity. It's really, really good stuff, a staple in every Zodiac deck. You choose a size 3 monster on your field for this turn. If it would be destroyed, it remains on field, and you gain 1 life. It's pretty simple. Penetrate still goes through, unfortunately, but at least you're reducing Penetrate by 1 and you're keeping your Zodiac. Just think of it as a soul that when it's used gains you a life. Really good stuff, keeps Zodiac on field. Next up, oh, it's a little out of order. Here we go. Next up is Divine Guidance. Divine Guidance is the best shield Zodiac has. It's fantastic. During an attack on your opponent's turn, if you have a Zodiac on your field, you may cast this. If you do, nullify the attack, gain 1 gauge from the top of deck, and gain 1 life. Really nothing more to say about it. It's really helpful. It's basically your Sun Dragon shield for this deck. Next up is, of course, Future Astrology. Every deck that is Zodiac should be running Future Astrology. I run it as a 4 of. Choose one of the following 2 effects. You pay 1 gauge. If you do, if there is a star on your field, draw a card. Then if there is a Neo Dragon on your field, draw another card. Basically, if Zodiac is on your field, you get to draw 2 cards. Or, at counter speed for no gauge cost, you can turn your flag into technically both flags to get both Zodiac effects off. So if you have Star Deity, it'll pump him up another critical, which is really cool. Because that comboed with Chaos Blade Joker, it just crit stacking late game when you know your opponent has nothing to stop you. It's nice. Next up is a 2 of. It is Mind Faker. It just came out in Crossing Generations. I was hesitant to run it in main board, but it's just done so well. Choose one of the following 2. If you have a star on your field, which is Zodiac, or almost any other, star, but Zodiac really, choose a monster on your opponent's field and nullify all of the effects. And that's really helpful against these cards that have Soul Guard and that can be nullified. And then the other effect, if you have a Neo Dragon on field, choose 1 card from Drop Zone. If you do, put it in the soul of a card on your field. So give Zodiac's soul back for 1 spell, which was free. And yeah, I was really happy when this came out in the Secret Pack and came out in foil. My deck is currently max foiled, and I just finished that. And shout out to the entire community for helping out with that. North America Buddy Fight is awesome. Next up, I'm running Uninvited Deity, Inspector. This is why I feel confident running so little Zodiac, like 3 ofs and 1 ofs. Pay 2 life rather, and call 1 Zodiac monster from your deck by paying its call cost. It searches out anything you need. Helps with every matchup. If you open with like a Star Deity, but you need ES, go grab it. Or if you want to find your high eliminators, go for it. It's 2 life in a deck that can get life back very quickly anyway. Next up, we are running into the items. I'm running 3 Gamir Staff. I was running 4, but it got a little cluttery. The deck draws plenty now between Awodals and Future Astrologies. It's enough. It helps out, especially Drag Solar happening twice per turn. Yeah, it is an item with 0 power, 0 critical. Pay 1 gauge and 1 life to equip it. Has the act ability that you can rest it to gain 1 gauge, and also once per turn, you can discard a card from hand to draw a card. This sets up with so many combos. You can open up a turn with Ares. You can open up a turn with Awodal to get 2 draw, or a gauge, or no, a draw, a gauge, and a draw, plussing 2 cards. If you use Ares, just pop something really quickly. Chaos Joker if you want to, just to get him on field and have your field stacked from the get-go. It's outstanding. I love it. One of the best items in the game. And finally, we have come to the impacts. I was really hesitant about this at first. I was running Fenrir for a little while. I liked Fenrir, but this card was just, it's so good. This card says, you may only cast this if you have a monster with Zodiac in its name on your field. Pay 2 gauge and choose one of the following 2. Either your opponent's entire field cannot stand the next turn, or you hit them for 1 plus each card rested, which can be absolutely ridiculous. It's so nice. Certain decks it helps you get with like bats. If they have 3 on field, you're burning for 4. Against prisms, you could burn again for 4, possibly 5, depending on what item they have equipped. It's really nice. It helps out a ton. And yeah, that's my main deck. And yeah, catch you guys later. Thanks.